today's edition of SWAC Talk. Of course, this is the show we cover the SWAC inside and out. And I'm your tour guide around the SWAC. C-Wells coming at you. And it is basketball still going on, man. Of course, we got signing day coming at you tomorrow. Gonna have a live show tomorrow night. Talk about signing day for everybody. Should be an eventful day, especially, got a lot of stuff still going on all over the league. Some big signings coming, some transfers coming, all of that, man, going to be going down. But today, we're going to continue with basketball. This is the end of the first half of the season. It's an 18-game season. We're at the halfway point. Everybody's played 9 games at this point. So we have 9 games left in the regular season before we get to the SWAC tournament, which is from March 8th to March 11th in Birmingham. So we making our way to the tournament. A lot of things are still left to be shaped up. So it'll be a very interesting last few weeks of the season. But we're going to talk about Monday's games, and then we'll talk about our games coming up on Saturday. So before we do that, let's go ahead and do the weekly honors. The SWAC announced the weekly honors. The women's impact. Let's go with the women's player of the week is Ariana Grizzle from Florida A&M. She had 19 points in an overtime victory against Alabama A&M on Saturday, which was a career high. And then on Monday, she topped that career high with a 31-point performance. Although they lost to Alabama State in that game, but she hit for 31 after going for 19 on Saturday. She averaged 25 points on the weekend and 3 assists per game in that 2-game stretch. So she is the player of the week. And the impact player of the week also comes from Florida A&M, and that's Mide Oriyomi. She hit a buzzer beater to beat Alabama A&M, lead the Rattlers with a victory over Alabama A&M in overtime on Saturday. She had a career high 24 points in that over the Bulldogs. For the 2-game stretch over the weekend, she averaged 13.5 points and 7.5 rebounds per game. So salute to those 2 young ladies as they receive SWAC honors for this past week. And of course, as usual, we'll continue to bring you these names when they come out every week. So looking forward to see what performances come next because there has been some really good basketball played this season. Let me backtrack, man. I'm already jumping into everything. Hit those socials, man. Facebook is SWAC Talk, Instagram SWAC Talk, Twitter SWAC Talk 76. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Like the video, share them, hit that notification bell, and just help us continue to grow, man. Just help us continue to grow and help SWAC basketball continue to grow, man. If you are in the area of anybody's school on a Monday or a Saturday, man, please turn out, man. There's some good basketball being played, and I would really love to see people come out and support basketball. I know basketball and football are different levels, but I would love to see the support grow. I mean, there's been some good crowds, but yeah, I would love to see it grow even bigger, especially on the social media tip. So, man, y'all continue to support SWAC basketball. It's booming, man. It's a lot of fun, and they got a lot of good performances going on. So let's get to Monday's action. Bethune Cookman beat Alabama A&M 55-46. This is all women's action. Alcorn beat Grambling 58-52. Alabama State beat FAMU 77-68. And then our feature game of the day, Jackson State beat Southern by a score of 64-57. And this game was a back and forth affair. Run late in the third to take the lead, and ultimately they will hold on. Jackson State led 14-9 after the first quarter. Southern would outscore Jackson State 15-11 in the second quarter. And they will ultimately fall behind after that. But this was a very good game, man. Jackson State was led by Telon Bowler, who had 17 points and 5 rebounds and 1 block. She was 6 of 11 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3, 5 of 7 from the line. Gerard Covington, 14 points, 7 rebounds for her. She had 6 assists as well and 1 steal. She was 4 of 8 from the field, 1 for 1 from three, and 5 of 9 from the free throw line. Angel Jackson had 9 points, and Jackson State only had two scores in double digits, so Southern did a pretty good defensive job. But Daphne White had 11 rebounds to pace the team, and Jackson State's size was obviously a big difference in this game. The Tigers had 39 rebounds. They had committed 15 fouls. They had 7 assists, 15 turnovers, 6 blocks, and 3 steals. They would shoot 40. They would shoot 48% from the field on the night, 22 of 45, 3 of 8 from three, 37%, and 17 of 29 from the free throw line for 58%. They scored 34 points in the paint. They had 8 points over turnovers, 6 second chance points, 7 fast break points, and 11 bench points. This game had 4 ties and 8 lead changes. So very, very competitive game. Genovia Johnson was the only scorer for Southern in double digits with 14. She also had 4 rebounds and 4 assists. She was 5 of 18 from the field and 4 with 9 points. She was 3 of 11 from the field, including 3 of 7 from the 3-point line. She also had 7 rebounds on the night, which led the team. Raven White had 7 points and 6 rebounds for Southern as well. Southern had 29 rebounds, so they got out rebounded by 10 by Jackson State. They had 23 fouls, 13 assists, only 7 turnovers. So they did take care of the basketball, 3 blocks and 5 steals. They did almost everything that you want to do in a game against Jackson State other than close out. They shot the ball. They didn't shoot well from the field. They shot 31% from the field, 20 of 63, but they were 56% from the 3-point line, 9 of 16. They were 8 of 11 from the free throw line for 72%, which is not a lot of free throws, but that was one of the issues that Southern struggled with. In this game, they made free throws, and that keeps you in games like this. They scored 20 points in the paint. As you can see, they got outscored in the paint by 14. They had 8 points off a turnover, the 11 second chance points, 3 fast break points, and 22 bench points. So this was a tight game. I mean, Southern defense typically is going to be what costs them in games like this, not being able to score for stretches of time, or not necessarily having the size to compete with Jackson State in a 40-minute game. So Southern hung tough, and Jackson State had to fight, but they did what great teams do, and that's survive, man. That's all you want to do. It don't matter whether you win by 1 or 20. It's a dub, you know what I'm saying? Especially at this point in the season, you just want to stack up wins, especially against a team that you're only going to play once. So you stack up that win, and you move on to the next one. Looking at the standings, after 9 games, Jackson State is 8-1, 11-18 overall. They've now won 5 straight since that loss to Prairie View. Southern is 6-3, 9-11 overall. They've lost 1 game. Prairie View is 6-3, 9-11 overall. They've won 1. Alabama State's also 6-3, 9-11 overall. They've won 1. Alabama A&M is 6-3, 8-11 overall. They've lost 2 straight. Bethune Cookman is 6-3, 7-12 overall. They won 2 straight. Pine Bluff is 5-4, 7-12 overall. They've won 3 straight. Alcorn is 4-5, 8-12 overall. They've won 1. Grambling is 4-5 with a 5-15 overall record. They've lost 3 straight. Florida A&M is 2-7 with a 4-16 overall record. They've lost 1. Texas Southern is 1-8 with a 1-19 record. They have lost 5 straight games this season. So as you can see, man, there's a very, very big log jam for second place right now behind Jackson State. You have a 5-team tie for second place right now. So this is anybody's ball game, man. I really would say after number 1, anybody can make the tournament. Valley's most likely out. Texas Southern's probably out. FAMU is maybe teetering on the brink. I mean, they're 4 games out of second place right now, but I don't know if they're going to be able to stack up enough wins to get themselves in the hunt. But Grambling is still in it. Alcorn still in it. Pine Bluff is still in it. So, 2 through 8, man, is anybody's guess right now. And there's gonna be some games coming up that's gonna the Alabama schools this upcoming weekend. Bethune Cookman, they play Prairie View this weekend. Um, Pine Bluff and Alcorn have to match up at some point. Grambling, also plays those Alabama schools. So in this upcoming weekend, so there's gonna be some shuffling going around. But right now, man, a 5-way tie for second place is just crazy. That there's a lot of movement that's gonna take place, but right now, it is not looking that hot. Let's check out what the games are coming up for Saturday, February 4th. As we move into February, we are actually at the point where now we're getting into the home stretch. We have 9. Not a lot of room for error at this point. Grambling and Alabama State play at 12:30. That's the HBCU Go game of the day. Pine Bluff is at Alcorn. That's a 2 o'clock tip-off. Southern is at Alabama A&M. That's a 3 p.m. tip. FAMU is at Texas Southern. That's a 3 p.m. tip. Bethune Cookman at Prairie View. That's a 3 p.m. tip, and that's our featured game of the day. As you can see, both of these teams are tied for first place. Tied for second place. So this is a very, very big game right now between two teams that are right there in the mix. And Valley is at Jackson State. That's also a 3 o'clock tip. So looking at the statistics for this matchup between Bethune Cookman and Prairie View, these two teams only play once this season. So again, this is one of those matchups where this is a very important game for tiebreakers. You win this game, you win the series. So you really want to come out on top, especially in a situation where you have all these teams tied right now. Scoring 64 points per game. They in conference play. They allow 58.8 in conference play, which gives them a scoring margin of 5.3, which is second in the league. They are seventh in scoring offense and third in scoring defense. The Wildcats are shooting 38% from the field. That's fifth in the league. Their opponents are shooting 38% as well. That's fourth in the league. So pretty good on both sides, offense and defense. 3-point shooting, they're third in the league at 34% from 3-point range in conference. And the opponents shoot 28.6, which is fourth in the league. So they defend the three well and they shoot the three well. This team has been playing some really good offensive basketball the last few games. They're seventh in the league in free throw shooting at 64%, and their opponents shoot 66%, which is sixth in the league. Rebounding, they are eighth in the league in rebounding at 35.7 rebounds per game. Their opponents average 37 rebounds per game. They're seventh in the league. They are 11th in the league in offensive rebounds at 11.7. So they don't really do a good job on the offensive boards. They do an average job, I guess you could say, because the numbers, the margin between first and last is not that big in offensive rebounding in the league. So they are right on par with everybody else. Defensive rebounding, they are sixth in the league. They average 24.3 rebounds per game. So they right in the middle. Rebounding margin, they are out rebounded by 1.3. Losing rebounding battles in games, but going 6-3 at this point means you found a way to survive some of those. They are second in the league in turnover margin at 4.1. They average 16.4 turnovers per game. They force 20.6 turnovers per game, which is the third most in the league. So they do a really good job of turning you over. They turn the ball over a bit much for my liking, but they do a really good job of turning teams over, and that can always help you in games, especially like I love to say, defense travels. So you can turn teams over. That can help you anywhere in the league. They are 11th in block shots at 1.5 per game. They are last in the league in assists. They average 8.8 assists per game. So not a lot of ball movement by this team, especially when it comes to getting that extra pass for a bucket. They tend to be one of those teams that don't really move the ball a lot. They're second in the league in steals at 10.5 per game, which ties into those 20 turnovers that they force. So they are a very good defensive team. Offensively, they're solid. This team is honestly a surprise this season. Last season, they were not that good. They were very turnover prone last year and weren't very deep at all. This season, they're playing a lot better, and the results are showing for themselves. So they are doing very well this season. When it comes to the leading scorer in conference play, it's Chanel Wilson. She averages 19.2 points per game, and she's the only double-digit scorer on this team in conference play. Following her is DeShante Edwards at 9.6, and Kayla Clark at 7.7, Kayla White at 7.2, Morgan Beecham at 6.6, Nia Jordan at 5.8, and Cariana Woods at 5.3. So as Wilson goes, this team goes. You know, I mean, you have one player averaging almost 20 points per game, and maybe 10 as your second if you round up. You have a cut and dry go-to person, so that's the person that you need to focus on if you're Prairie View. When it comes to field goal shooting, Wilson also leads the team at 44%, followed by Edwards at 42%, White at 42%, Beecham at 41%, Dorsey at 38%, and Clark at 36%. Three-point shooting, Wilson shoots 38%. White is 8 of 16 for 50%. So that's the highest percentage for somebody who has multiple attempts. But Wilson has shot 68 threes on the season in conference play, and she's made 26. The team has only taken 120, so she's taken more than half of the threes that they shoot. And obviously she's made the bulk of the threes that the team has made. So she's a big time shooter for them, big time scorer, and she's gonna have the ball in her hands a lot. She also shoots 73% from the free throw line, 27 of 37, which is one of the highest marks for somebody with multiple attempts. Morgan Beecham has 13 attempts, and she's 84% shooting. Also, Jordan is at 66%, Clark at 63%, 60% for White. And Clark leads the team with 8.4 rebounds per game, Jordan 4.9, Edwards 4.6, Wilson 4.0. Assists, Wilson is at 18. She also leads the team in assists, 15 assists for White. Woods at 14, and Edwards at 13. Edwards leads the team in steals at 29, Woods at 16, 13 for White, Beecham with 12, 10 for Wilson. When it comes to block shots, Clark leads the team with 5, followed by Beecham with 4. So this, like I said, this team is as Wilson goes, this team goes. So you really want to kind of see. If you're Prairie View, you want to kind of keep her under control. She's definitely one of those players that can really step up and take over a game. You know what I mean? Obviously, somebody that's averaging 19 points a game in conference play can definitely hurt you at any moment. I was just looking at some of her point totals from conference play. Just looking at her numbers in conference play, she had 25 against FAMU, 18 against Grambling, 20 against Southern, 19 against Valley, 16 against Pine Bluff, 21 against Jackson State, 18 against Alcorn, 16 a game below 16 points this season in conference play. So she's gonna get her points. The key if you're Prairie View is to make sure nobody else gets their points. If you can keep her, if you let her do some damage, but you keep everybody else under control, then I think you give yourself a good chance of winning this game. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to let you let one person hurt you, and that leads to other people starting to find some shots and getting some confidence. But Prairie View's a pretty solid team on their own right, as they're also a 6-3. They are averaging 64 points per game, 64.8, which is fifth in the league, just ahead of Bethune Cookman. Defensively, Prairie View is fifth in the league in scoring defense at 62.4 points per game, and they are fifth in the league in scoring margin at 2.3 points per game difference. When it comes to shooting, the Panthers, they're shooting 36% from the field defensively. The opponents, as an offense, 3-point shooting, they shoot 31% from the field, from the 3-point line, and that's sixth place. They are first in opponent 3-point percentage. Opponents only shoot 25%, so they definitely do a good job defending the perimeter. And when you have a team, with a player like Wilson that shoots multiple threes, all game long, that perimeter defense is definitely going to come in handy. So if I would give an edge to Prairie View, it would be on that. It would be a lot easier to slow a team down when you defend well out there. So that's definitely a key factor for them. When it comes to free throw shooting, they're fourth in the league at 68%. The opponents are 60%, which is 10th in the league. That's the third lowest percentage for opponent free throw shooting. Rebounding, they're sixth in the league at 36 rebounds per game. The opponents average 36.6, so that's a margin of minus 0.6. So they are getting out rebounded by less than one rebound. So they're in pretty much every game when it comes to rebounding. Defensive rebounds, they're 24.3. They're seventh. They're tied with Bethune Cookman. They both at 24.3 defensive rebounds a game. When it comes to turnovers, they are fifth in the league in turnover margin at 1.78. That's the difference between their turnovers and opponent's turnovers. They force 19.7 turnovers, right behind Bethune Cookman, and they turn the ball over 17.9 times per game, just ahead of Bethune Cookman. So both of these teams will turn you over. Prairie View turns the ball over a little bit more, but this would be a very interesting game when it comes to that aspect. Block shots, Prairie View is 10th in the league in block shots at 2 per game. Again, just ahead of Bethune Cookman. Assists, they average 12.6 assists per game. So they do a little bit better job of spreading the ball around and getting good looks for everybody. When it comes to block steals, they are fifth in the league at 9.7 steals per game. Again, less than one steal behind Bethune Cookman. So these two teams statistically are kind of similar. Numerically, the biggest difference that I would say is Prairie View doesn't shoot the ball as a team as well as Bethune Cookman does, but they do everything else pretty much on par, especially defensively. So this should be a very interesting game. I think this is a good matchup, and like I said, I think it's a very important matchup with both teams being tied as we get ready to kind of take a look at what Prairie View brings to the table individually. All right, when it comes to scoring in conference play, Diana Rosenthal is averaging 15.6 points per game, followed by Tamirico Taylor at 10 points per game, 9.4 for Kennedy Paul, 8.5 for Kennedy Hurd, and Desiree Lewis is at 7.9. So this team is a bit more balanced when it comes to scoring than Bethune Cookman is, because Bethune Cookman basically has one player that can kind of get it done, and everybody else kind of chips in as needed. When you look at Rosenthal, who is Prairie View's leading scorer, she had 18 against Grambling, 28 against Southern, 18 against Valley, 10 against Pine Bluff, 12 against Jackson, 10 against Alcorn. She had 26 against Alabama State. She had 12 against Alabama A&M, and she only had 6 points this past game against Texas Southern. So she's been kind of up and down. She hasn't really shot the three well, and her field goal shooting has been up and down. So they do have other players. Like I said, when you have a player that averages 10 points right behind her, that's somebody that can pick up the load. So you're not really dependent on one person being hot all the time. Looking at the field goal shooting, Taylor leads the team at 44%, followed by Smith at 42. 42 for Paul, Lewis at 41, Hurd at 40, Hudson at 40, Rosenthal at 35. Three-point shooting, Taylor shoots 40% from three, Hurd shoots 39. Paul shoots 39, Hurd shoots 38, Rosenthal shoots 34. She has her and Kennedy Paul both have 18 threes made, and Rosenthal shoots 53, has shot 52 threes, which leads the team. Free throw shooting, Paul leads the team at 75%, Hurd at 75%, Rosenthal at 75%, 68 for Taylor, Lewis at 67, Jenkins at 66, Thornton at 63. Rebounding, Lewis at 5.6, Smith at 4.9, 4.8 for Hurd, 4.2 for Paul, Rosenthal 4.1, Taylor 3.8. Assists, Thornton leads the team with 23 assists, followed by Hutchinson with 15, Rosenthal with 13, Paul and Jenkins have 11 each. Steals, Rosenthal leads the team with 21 steals, Taylor 14, 12 for Hutchinson. And block shots, Smith leads the team with 5 block shots, Sodders has 4. So again, this team plays, they play really good defense. They turn you over a lot. They play really good defense on the perimeter in terms of 3-point shooting. So that, to me, that's an advantage for them. I think offensively they don't really shoot well, but they can get their points in transition, and off of consistent. I do like the Panthers in this game. I think Bethune Cookman is playing a lot better basketball this season, but I think this is, I don't want to say this is rare air for them, but at this point right now, I think that they are in the position where they're kind of playing above where a lot of people thought they would be. So you're looking at a situation where this team is gonna, try to work the kinks out and figure out where they are. And I like Prairie View in this game, man. I think they're gonna continue to play well. They hit a little slump in the middle portion of the schedule, but they seem to be riding that ship again. So I think this will be a very good game. But I think the Panthers will pull it out and pick up the victory to move ahead of Bethune Cookman by a game and keep things still interesting as we see what the other games turn out to be on Saturday. So now let's move on to men's action, and we do the same thing as we did with the women. We'll start with our weekly honors. As we, again, just like on the women's side, we are at 9 games into the season, so we are at the halfway point, and we'll be moving on with the second half starting on Saturday. So looking at the weekly honors, again, just like the women's honors was swept by FAMU, the men's honors are swept by Bethune Cookman. The player of the week night, he sank a game-winning floater to help Bethune Cookman beat Alabama State at the buzzer. He scored 36 points over 2 games this week, including a 4-5 night from 3 on Monday against Alabama A&M. Impact Player of the Week is Marcus Garrett, also from Bethune Cookman. He averaged 18 points per game for the Wildcats in the pair of league wins this weekend. He also had 9 assists, including 6 Monday against Alabama A&M, to go with 9 rebounds and a steal for the week. He finished a combined 5 or 6 from behind the arc in those 2 games. So congratulations to those 2 Bethune Cookman Wildcats, Marcus Garrett and Deshaun Dyson. Congratulations to them, and we'll see who gets those honors next week. Bethune Cookman had a good weekend, and a couple other teams had some good weekends, and we'll talk about that now. Bethune Cookman beat Alabama A&M on Monday, 88-77. Grambling beat Grambling lost to Alcorn 63-60, and we'll talk about 69-58. And Southern beat Jackson State 73-62. Southern, shout out to Jackson State, man. They were down by 25 at one point in this game. They only had 15 points at the half. They went on a big run in the second half, cut the lead down to 5. Southern was ultimately able to withstand their run and kind of put the lead back to double digits. But shout out to Zeke Cook. I think he had 13 points and 14 rebounds for Jackson State. Big game for him as they tried to get themselves back into the game. Bryson Etienne had 18 points for Southern. And Southern maintains their lead, but Jackson State did not quit. I thought, for a team that was down big, I think they didn't rush themselves back into the game. They kind of chipped away, and before you knew it, they were in the game. So if you want to look at a textbook way of getting back in a game, that's how you do it. You don't just start jacking up threes. You still run your offense and you play defense. You didn't get in that hole on one play. You're not going to get out of it in one play. So they did a really good job in the second half of finding, backdoor cuts and working inside and getting Southern in foul trouble, getting to the free throw line early and being able to score points with the clock stopped. That's a key way of making comebacks in games, is to obviously score when the clock ain't moving. So I wanted to shout that out. That was a big effort. Came up short, but I think, still was a solid effort to recognize. And now we'll talk about our featured game of the day. Grambling and Alcorn, like I said, this was a 3-point game, 63-60. Grambling was leading by 1 at the half to win by 3. Dominic Bruton led Alcorn with 16 points. He was 5 of 13 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3. He hit all 4 of his free throws. He had 4 rebounds on the night, 1 assist, and 2 steals. Jeremiah Kendall had 15 points and 9 rebounds to lead the team with those 9 rebounds. He had one steal as well. He was 6 of 8 from the field and 3 of 4 from the line. He did have foul trouble, so he only played 18 minutes. He had 4 fouls in the game, so he was plagued with foul trouble. He was actually the only guy on the Alcorn team who had 4 fouls. Also, Bryson Joshua had 12 points on the night, 6 of 11 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3, and 0 for 1 from the line. He also had 4 assists on the night and 1 steal. And Alcorn will finish with 27 rebounds on the night, 14 fouls, 6 assists, 12 turnovers, 2 blocks, and 9 steals. They shot 49% from the field, including 50% in the first half. They shot 28% from 3. So not a good night for them from the 3-point line, 6 of 21. They were 7 of 11 from the free throw line for 63%. They had 36 points in the paint, 19 points over turnovers, 9 second chance points, 2 fast break points, and 2 bench points. This game was tied 6 times. It had 5 lead changes. Alcorn's biggest lead was 5. So very tight game, all game long, really. Cameron Christian and Vershawn Cotton led Grambling with 12 points each. Christian also had 6 rebounds on the night and 2 assists and 2 blocks. He was 4 of 10 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, and 2 of 5 from the line. Cotton was 4 of 7 from the field and 4 of 7 from 3. So he was hot from the 3-point line. He had 1 rebound, 1 assist on the night. He was 5 of 6 from the field and 0 for 1 from the line and 0 for 2 from the 0 for 1 from the 3-point line, 0 for 2 from the free throw line. Grambling would finish with 27 rebounds, so they tied with Alcorn on the boards. They had 13 fouls, 13 assists, 17 turnovers, 3 blocks, and 4 steals. They shot 51% from the field, so really good shooting night for Grambling. Actually, both teams shot almost 50%. Grambling shot a little bit more than 50%, Alcorn barely under 50%, so both teams shot the ball well in this game. 52% from 3 for Grambling, 9 of 17, and they were 7 of 15 from the free throw line for 46%. So with a 3-point game and you missed 8 free throws, if you make half of those that you missed, you win this game, honestly. because you shot the ball very well from the three and from the line. Free throws, you can't shoot 49% from the line and win. That's just not going to get it done for you. 24 points in the paint for Grambling, 5 points over turnovers, 8 second chance points, no fast break points, and 25 bench points. Grambling's largest lead in this game was 7, which was early in the second half. So, like I said, this was a very tight affair. Neither team was able to get much breathing room. Alcorn was able to kind of get the points they needed late and pull this game out. So they picked up a very big victory. This was a very important game when it came to the standings because this was a game that basically was for second place. If Grambling won, they would be tied. They would have been tied with Alcorn for second place. Alcorn wins, they take second by themselves. So they are 7-2 in second place right now, just behind Southern at 8-1. Southern is 8-1 in conference, 12-10 overall. They've won 3 straight. Alcorn 7-2, 10-11. They've won 1. Grambling 6-3, 13-8. They've lost 1. Pine Bluff is 6-3, 10-12. They've lost 1. Jackson State is 5-4, 6-16 overall. They've lost 2 straight. Bethune Cookman 4-5, 8-14 overall. They've won 2 straight. Prairie View is 4-5, 8-14 overall. They've lost 1. Alabama State is 4-5, 6-16 overall. They've lost 3 straight. Texas Southern 3-6, 7-15 overall. They've lost 1. FAMU 2-7, and 4-16 overall. They've won 1. And Valley is 1-8 and 2-21 overall. They've lost 5 straight. So looking at this week's game, looking at the Saturday games, Grambling is at Alabama State. That's a 3:30 tip. That's the HBCU Gold game of the day. Pine Bluff is at Alcorn. That's a 4 p.m. tip. FAMU is at Texas Southern, 5 o'clock tip. Southern at Alabama A&M, 5 o'clock tip. Valley at Jackson State, 5:30 tip. And our feature game of the day is Bethune Cookman at Prairie View. That's a 5:30 tip-off as well. That Pine Bluff Alcorn game is also big, but I thought that with the standings being the way they were, with especially lower in the standings, with it being the start of the second half, I thought this game was very big because basically there's a 4-way tie for 7th place. So there's not a lot of room. If you lose this game, you could find yourself out of the race for the 8th spot. So especially with a team like Texas Southern lurking right back at 3-6 and FAMU is 2-7. So there's not a lot of room for those 4 teams to come up short. So that's what made this game to me more important. Alcorn, with a victory over Pine Bluff, they stay in second place. If they lose, they would ultimately still be tied for second place, depending on what Grambling did as well. So it would either be Alcorn in second by themselves, a 2-way tie, or a 3-way tie for second. So not a huge affair like the last 2 games for them, but I thought this game was big because, I'm not saying the team that loses this game is automatically out, but, you find yourself falling the last spot, basically, that makes it almost do or die. So let's take a look at the stats for both teams, and we're going to talk about this game. Starting off with Bethune Cookman. They, when it comes to scoring offense and conference play, they average 71.8 points per game, which is 4th in the league. They defensively, the opponent scores 74.4, so they give up a lot of points. They score a lot of points, but they give up a lot of points, and they have a scoring margin of minus 2.7. So not a great defensive team, as far as keeping teams off the scoreboard. That number is inflated by 100-point effort against Southern scored 100 points on them, so that does inflate your numbers a little bit. When it comes to shooting, Bethune Cookman shoots 43% from the field. Their opponents shoot 44%. 3-point percentage, they're second in the league at 37%, and their opponents shoot 34% from the league. you can see defensively, they don't really get a lot of stops, and that leads to those high numbers. You know, they kind of like to go up and down, and you're going to get as many as they get. If they can get a little bit more, then they're fine with that. They shoot 67% from the line, which is sixth in the league. The opponents shoot 73%, which is first in the league, and that's the highest amount. That's the highest percentage by an opponent in free throws this season. They are 11th in the league in rebounding at 31.8 rebounds per game. Their opponents are at 37 rebounds per game, which also makes them 11th, which means they get out rebounded by 5.2 rebounds per game, which is last in the league. So they don't really win very many games on the boards. They're eighth in the league in defensive rebounding with 22.8. So they are not a strong team on the boards. Like I said, I think their strength is shooting. They do have quite a few guys that can fill it up from outside. Like I said, they're not the best defensive team. They don't get a lot of stops, but they found ways to win games here and there. They average 13.3 turnovers per game, so they don't really turn the ball over a lot, but they also don't force a lot of turnovers. They only force 13.9, which is gives them a margin of 0.56. So, like I said, again, they don't turn the ball over, but they don't really force a lot of turnovers. They don't really make you miss a lot of shots. They don't really win on the boards, but they found ways to win games, and they win games because they have guys that can fill it up from outside. They are ninth in the league in block shots at 3.1 blocks per game, and they are sixth in the league in assists at 10.8. And when it comes to steals, they're eighth in the league at 7.1 on the season. So not, like I said, not numbers that's gonna knock your socks off. But when you look at this team, they're very capable. They have guys who either this season or last season have gone for at least 25, 30 points a game, in a game, including Zion Harmon, who's the leading scorer. He had a 34-point performance against Southern. Joe French can hit for 30. Kevin Davis can hit for 30. Garrett can hit for 30. Those guys are streaky. They can hit, but they, like I said, they don't play. The team has 6 guys scoring in double figures, so that lets you know how much the team scores. Harmon is at 16.9, 15.1 for Garrett, 12.5 for Carter Hollinger, 11.9 for Davis, 11.3 for Dyson, 10.4 for French. Those guys are their guys. After that, the next guy is at 3 points, and then the next one at 2. So those 6 guys that I named are basically the guys that score. Hollinger has been he's only played in 2 games, so you can kind of count him off for this. He hasn't played since the Grambling game. So basically, they have 5 guys who score all those points. So they don't really have a deep bench. They don't really play a lot of guys. So their starters get a lot of minutes. If you look at just looking at the minutes for their guys, Davis is at 34 minutes, 34 for Garrett, 29 for Harmon. French is at 23. Dyson is at 21. So you're gonna have a couple guys that play heavy minutes for this team. And Henderson is at 46%, Harmon at 44%, Davis at 44%, Garrett at 43%. Gudavicius is at 41%. 3-point shooting. French is at 45%. He's 19 of 42. Garrett is at 44%, 12 of 27. 13 of 36 for Dyson. Harmon is 20 of 57 for 35%. Davis, 6 of 21 for 28%. Free throw shooting. French shoots 90%, 9 of 10. 85% for Harmon. 67% for Davis. 62% for Dyson. 60% for Garrett. Rebounding. Davis leads the team with 8.9 rebounds per game, 5.4 for Garrett, 4 for McIntyre. Henderson is at 32. Harmon at 20 steals. You have 15 for Davis, 14 for McIntyre, 11 for Garrett, 11 for Harmon, and 12 block shots lead the team, and that's from Henderson. So, like I said, defensively, this team, they don't do a lot, but they can score the ball. And when you have 5 guys that score double figures, anybody can hurt you. They are very balanced in that way, and they all can shoot from outside. They just, if you can force them to try to make stops on defense, then you have a pretty good chance, because odds is they're probably not going to get that stop that they need. If you're a solid offensive team, that puts a lot of pressure on them. When it comes to scoring, Prairie View is 11th in the league at 63 points per game, 63.9. Prairie View is first in the league in scoring defense at 63.7. So that's a good matchup right there. It's a team that don't give up a whole lot of points against a team that scores a fairly decent amount of points. Prairie View is fifth in the league in scoring margin at 2.2 points per game. So they play a lot of close games. They have a lot of games that are very close. When it comes to shooting, Prairie View is 11th. They shoot 39% from the field. The opponents shoot 38% from the field. So point shooting, Prairie View is last in the league. They only shoot 23%. So they cannot get into a 3-point shooting battle with Bethune Cookman. They won't come out on top. But they lead the league in 3-point defense at 26%. So I like this matchup between Prairie View's defense and Bethune Cookman's offense. I think whichever side wins out on that is probably going to win this game. Bethune Cookman, like I said, they shoot a lot of threes. They make 8.1 threes per game. Just wanted to throw that in there. Prairie View, they make 4 threes per game. So not a lot, man. They don't really shoot a lot of threes. They don't really make a lot of threes. So that's not their game. Free throw shooting, Prairie View is 11th in the league. They shoot 64%, so not a really good number. The opponents shoot 70%, which is 3rd in the league. So both teams' opponents shoot really well from the line. Rebounding, Prairie View is 2nd in rebounds at 37.3 rebounds per game. The opponents average 33.9, which is 6th, and that gives them a rebound margin of 3.4, which is 2nd in the league. So they're a pretty strong team on the boards. Like I said, they are 2nd in the league in rebounding, so they are a very strong team on the boards, and that's an advantage for them because Bethune Cookman is not good on the boards. Prairie View leads the league in offensive rebounds with 12.8 rebounds per game. That's going to be a key factor in this game against a team that doesn't get a lot of defensive boards, so that helps them a lot. And they're 4th in the league in defensive rebounding at 24.6 rebounds per game. So the edge to Prairie View is on defense and rebounding. That's their biggest edge. They need this game to be a lower tempo, not a lot of shots taken. If this game becomes an up and down game, then it plays more into Bethune Cookman's hands. Prairie View is 6th in the league in turnover margin at 0.44. They turn the ball over 16.2 times per game. They force 16.7. So they turn the ball over a little bit more than Bethune Cookman, but they force about 3 more turnovers. So they'll be able to Prairie View is 5th in block shots at 3.6 per game, and they are last in the league in assists at 8.6. So they don't really, they don't, like I said, offensively, that's just not their strong point this season. They are 2nd in the league in steals at 8.3. So they get their hands on the ball a lot, and they're going to take it away, and that's where they get a lot of their points in transition. Looking at the Panthers, individually, their numbers in conference play, they're led by Will Douglas at 11 points, followed by Yasuza Rosas at 9.9, Augustine at 9.8, 8.7 for Smith, Nelson at 8.3, Gambrell at 8. So they are balanced. I mean, obviously they have 6 guys who are in between 8 and 11 points. So not a lot of guys that's just gonna go nutty, as far as scoring goes. Douglas has he's been kind of off the last few games. He had 4 against Alabama State. He didn't score against Alabama A&M, and he had 4 against Texas Southern. He hit for 25 against Southern. That's his season high in conference play. But he's been a little bit cold the last couple games. So, that's something that you want to kind of take into account. Rosas is another guy who had a couple big games. He had a 21-point game against Alcorn. The last 3 games, he scored 14 points total. So, those numbers aren't great. But they did pick up a double overtime victory over Texas Southern in that stretch. Gambrell is another guy who hasn't really hit much this season. He had a 22-point game against Valley. And other than that, he hasn't scored in double figures other than the Grambling game. So he's only had 2 out of 7 games that he scored double digits. But this is a guy that can knock down. They are going to have to not shoot as much from the field, especially from 3. You don't want to get in a 3-point contest. You want your defense to speak for you in this game. Miles leads the team with 63% shooting. Nelson at 50. Rosas at 46. Ruddy at 42 for Bell. Smith at 40. Harding at 40. Harris at 38. Douglas at 36. 3-point shooting. Nelson 50%, Harris 50%, Harding 40%, Smith 29, Bell 28, Augustine 28, Gambrell 17, Douglas 13. Like I said, 3-point shooting has just not been his team's strong suit. I mean, they've only made 36 threes in conference play, so they haven't really taken a lot of shots and haven't really made a lot. So that's something that they don't want to get in. You don't want to fall in love behind that line because your odds are, if you average it out, you're not going to come out in a good way. Free throw shooting. Douglas shoots 93%, 83 for Nelson, 77 for Rosas, 75 for Smith. Harris 66, 64 for Gambrell. Rebounding. Rosas 7.1, Ruddy 5.4, Miles 4.9, Augustine 4.8. Assists. Douglas at 15, Gambrell at 15. Turnovers, Douglas 17, Gambrell 22. Steals, 13 for Rosas, 11 for Douglas. Blocks, Rosas leads the team with 10 blocks. So minded this season. Bethune Cookman is more of an offensive team. So this is a good matchup of different styles. And it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out. I lean more on defense because I feel like if you can play good defense, you can control a game. So I think Prairie View can control the tempo of this game. They'll be in good shape. But when you play a team that shoots a lot of threes and they make a good bit of threes, they're a pretty good 3-point shooting team. If they get hot, they can really impact this game. And if Bethune Cookman can speed that tempo up and make it an up and down game and, hit you a couple of transition threes, and keep Prairie View on the move, then I think Bethune Cookman has a good chance. But playing at home, I think Prairie View has a good chance of slowing his tempo down. And I think if they do that, the Panthers will win. And so I'm going to pick the Panthers to win this game because I think that defense is going to be the key. Now, if their shooting is just ice cold, then yes, Bethune Cookman has a really good chance of winning this game. But I like the Panthers in this one, and I think they'll win this game and pick up them a nice victory too. I think this is going to be a very tight season. It's going to come down to the end. I think it's not close to being wrapped up yet. So, man, I'd like to thank y'all for tuning in. Again, signing day tomorrow. Catch us live. I'll put out a little flyer on the social. Let you know when you catch that. You get the notification bell to be alerted when it drops. Thursday, SWAC Smoke, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. Sunday, we'll be back to recap all the games from Saturday. Wednesday, we'll have all the games that were played on Monday. So, y'all know the schedule, man. Y'all know how we do. And, man, we're going to keep it locked in with us. And, man, y'all hit that button and subscribe. And we'll catch y'all on the rebound.